I'm going to be showing you how to make marrons glacé or candied chestnuts. These are a really delicious confection, and I do think that they're worth the effort of making them. It is somewhat a labour of love, but they are quite expensive to buy in the shops, that's if you can find them at all. They also make really great gifts at Christmas. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is to prepare your chestnuts. To do this, you need to score carefully across into the chestnut. Once you've scored your chestnuts, pop them into some boiling water for around 8 minutes. You'll see that where you've scored the chestnuts, the skin will start to come away from the flesh slightly. Take them out and pop them into a tea towel. I do this in batches, only a few at a time, because chestnuts really are easier to peel if they're warm. It's then a case of peeling them one by one. You will find that as they cool down, that inner skin starts to cling much more tightly to the chestnut, making it much harder to peel. I've found that if you leave the chestnuts in the water for too long, they can start to get too soft and then they'll break apart later, which is not what you want. The way I manage this is to have a steamer set up separately next to the chestnuts, and I pop the chestnuts out of the water into the steamer, which is on at a very low temperature, just to keep them warm. Sometimes you'll be lucky and the skin will come off nice and easily. It's quite satisfying when it does that. Once you've peeled all of your chestnuts, you should be left with a glorious bowl of golden nuts. The next stage is to make a sugar syrup. You want equal quantities of sugar and water for this. I used 300 millilitres of water to 300 grams of sugar. That should be sufficient for around 500 grams of chestnuts. Add the water and sugar to a pan and bring that to the boil. You can then turn that down and reduce it, just letting it bubble away for around 5 minutes. I also add to that the seeds from a vanilla pod, together with the vanilla pod itself, or you could simply add a little vanilla extract. This is optional and you don't have to add vanilla if you don't want to. However, the vanilla does add another beautiful warm note to the marrons glacé. You're then going to need to add your chestnuts. I do this carefully one by one, just to reduce the chances of them breaking apart. You're going to want to cook those in the syrup for about 10 minutes. Once that's done, turn them off the heat, cover them and leave them uncovered for 24 hours. After 24 hours has elapsed, you want to bring them back up to the boil again and then cook them for a further 1 to 2 minutes. Once that time is up, turn off the heat and again leave them for 24 hours. Once that's done, the chestnuts will have absorbed most of the syrup. You're going to want to then dry the chestnuts out. The way that I do this is place them carefully onto a baking tray. I then pop them into an oven which is set at 100 degrees centigrade. I leave the oven on for 10 minutes and then I turn the oven off, leaving the chestnuts in the oven to continue to dry. You'll see I've also got some pieces here too. I dry those as well, and they're great with some ice cream. Likewise, don't throw away any leftover syrup. It's also brilliant to use in desserts. After about an hour, you want to check your chestnuts. If they're not quite dry after the hour, I tend to turn them over to help them to finish drying. I then turn the oven back on, leave the oven on for 5 minutes, and again turn off the heat. Once your chestnuts are completely dry, they should be hard to the touch. At this stage, I individually pop them into petit four cases. You could also use mini cupcake cases. Another method is to wrap them individually in greaseproof paper. They'll then be ready for you to enjoy or to give as gifts. These will store at room temperature for a couple of months. I hope you enjoy making this recipe, and thanks for watching.